I'm gonna need some gum for this one. So, I just watched Bo Burnham's, that's his name, right? Netflix film, or special, Inside. I was heavily recommended this film by my friend Aiden and Celise. Did I enjoy it? I don't know why, but he gives me PewDiePie vibes. Like, he reminds me of PewDiePie. This is the weirdest beginning to a film ever. Why does he keep singing? A whole bloody light show. I'm not lying, some of these songs are pretty freaking banging. Like, I'm vibing. Like, yeah. Why has he got a freaking sock on his hand? I do that! I do that, I admit, I do that. I did actually, which is quite rare. That's quite an achievement because I'm very, very picky with films. I don't watch a lot of them. I will admit to zoning out quite a few times during some songs, but other than that, it was a great film. It starts off quite weird. The beginning of the film is Bo Burnham singing a song. A good song, but you're confused. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a musical. I did not know this. I mean, the little hashtags underneath the heading says just comedy, stand-up comedy. I was not told about any singing. Not that I'm upset about it. I just, you know, would have liked to be informed. Netflix doesn't tell me anything. So yeah, it opens with a song, a pretty good song about the world. Immediately, I was like, oh my god, this is like the pandemic. And then I realised it's filmed during the pandemic. So Bo Burnham is making this special for us because he's stuck inside, like we all were at some point. And what's really interesting about the film is that with every song, you see his deterioration in health. Mental health, that is. Now, this is really interesting because I think that is something we can all relate to. At some point or another during the pandemic, you would have hit a low. Because the pandemic, it was huge. It still is huge. It's still something that hasn't been fixed. It's something that will possibly never be fixed fully. Our entire way of life has been changed. Of course it's going to have an impact on your mental health, especially if you're someone who's already suffering with their mental health. Like, I personally suffer with depression and anxiety, so the fact that my entire way of life was changed is definitely a scare. So I can relate to him in this film quite a lot. And I'm sure a lot of people can as well. Maybe not as severely, or maybe even more severely, you know? For me, I think what definitely got me through the lockdown was the fact that I had Inzami, which is a fandom that I am in case you didn't know. It was a community I could go to share fun edits, fun pictures, and make friends, and, you know, forget about the pandemic for a little while. Which is interesting, because during the film, Bo Burnham expresses his, I wouldn't say hatred for modern technology, but definitely the fact that it's not always good.
Would you like to fight for civil rights or tweet a racial slur?
There are very strange things on the internet. I think we all know. Googled something we shouldn't have.
Pencil drawings of all the different characters in Harry Potter.
Whatever you do, don't Google. Anyways, he sings a lot of really good songs, I'm not gonna lie. Like, some of these songs are pretty freaking banging. Like, I'm vibing. Like, yeah. Oh god, this song is speaking to me. There's also a lot of serious issues in this film, such as the fact that he is experiencing suicidal thoughts. Or, in a way, he is.
But if I could kill myself for a year, I'd do it today.
Now, from what I saw, it didn't necessarily look like he wanted to die. More so the fact that he wanted to be out of the situation that he's currently in. Which, again, is something people can relate to. Sometimes people who want to harm themselves aren't always looking to end it all. They just want to get out of their current situation, which is not pleasant. This is the case for Bo Burnham in the film. He's obviously struggling during this pandemic. He explains that he doesn't necessarily want to die permanently, but if he could for a little while, like a few months, he would do it that day.
Be dead until like 18 months from now, I would do it.
AKA, he would die until the pandemic stopped, presumably. And it's set out kind of like a theatre performance. There's props, there's like really cringy lighting. He's using like everyday objects like a torch and, you know, all that jazz. There's a scene where he pretends to be a Twitch streamer, which honestly freaking got me. They're doing like a video game thing. That is so clever. I love that. It was very, very well done. But Jesus Christ, every time I saw his room, I felt like I was gonna have a panic attack. But if I took you to my room, it would make his look like freaking tidy as frick. My gum is losing flavour. Anyways, now near the end of the film, we see him contemplating whether he wants to finish the project, because that would mean he has not a lot else to do, because all he's been doing inside is this special, at least from what I'm aware of. This shows how dependent he is on this project now. It's like, it's become his whole life, which again, people can relate to. I would even say that the fandom that I joined became kind of dependent. I became very dependent on it at some point, because at that time it was one of the only ways I could be happy and forget about the situation that is going on around me. I think having that thing is both a blessing and a curse. Obviously, being too hooked on something is always bad. Like, you need to do it to survive. Like, that is not a healthy mindset. But in situations like that, if you can have something like that, it can save people's lives. It can make people feel so much calmer and happier and get them through things. And that's awesome. So there really is this confliction on whether the world we're surrounded with today is good or bad.
What they can and gets what they need. That is how the world...
He mentions how back then, in the olden days, you had catalogs and, you know, the simple things.
This was catalogs, travel blogs, a chat room or two.
And today the internet can be used for such hateful things, but it can also be used for a lot of loving things. But unfortunately, I think when you're isolated for that long, it's hard to stay optimistic. You're constantly thinking about the bad in what's happening. If you're alone with your thoughts for a while, your thoughts can literally start to attack you. I'm sure everyone's experienced it at some point in their life, because the brain is sneaky. So this is a very weird review for me to give, because I usually try to rely on comedy, but for this film, even though it's listed as a comedy, it honestly made me think of a kidnapped film. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but there's this film called 390 something days. It is a really, really good film. I definitely recommend it. It is about this girl, Natasha Kampusch, who is kidnapped and held captive for, I think, like 8 years. And the whole feel of that film and this film is the same. It feels so similar to me. Inside, Bo Burnham has all these grainy, dark colours usually. And at the end of the film, when he walks outside, it's bright, it's colourful, the birds are chirping, there's all these happy outside noises, which is very similar to something that happens in the kidnapped film. And she hears all these wonderful sounds, which sound kind of like freedom, you know, birds, children having fun. It's freedom, which they don't currently have. All in all, I think the film was really, really good. It was honestly a really good experience. I definitely think it was very psychologically thrilling. Not as in scary, but as in my mind was constantly being like, yeah, I can relate to that. I bet this person can relate to that. That kind of thing. I was always psychologically on edge because you compare these feelings that he's having to yourself or other people. And it is very relatable, and I like that. Anyways, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed, and if you haven't seen Inside, definitely go watch it. And also watch the kidnap film, that's really good. Bye!